the most important thing you can do is leverage all these platforms to grow your list. And then you need to be insanely focused on nurturing that list and improving the frequency of how often you nurture that list with high quality content.
Hello and welcome to episode 229 of the Smart Agents Podcast. As always, my name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. On today's episode, we are joined by Jason Henneberry, co-founder and COO of Tango Financial, Canada's largest mortgage brokerage. With more than 400 agents across 50 brands, Tango funds $4.7 billion in mortgages annually. But beyond that, Jason's true passion lies in marketing and co-founded Strategy Hub, which helps close to 1,000 realtors and mortgage pros improve engagement and build better relationships with their clients. Throughout our conversation, Jason dives into the evolution of marketing strategies, the importance of nurturing email lists, and the power of referral partnership. Jason shares insights on future trends in search and emphasizes the significance of providing valuable content to engage audiences effectively. But before we get on with the day's featured interview, if you or someone else on your team has an incredible story of real estate success or tips to share with our community, send us a message to feedback@smartagents.com. We're always on the lookout for new guests to inspire our listeners. And lastly, if you enjoy this conversation and want to hear more, be sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents Podcast. We stream on all major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. All right, let's get on with our conversation with Jason Henneberry. If you'd like to learn more or connect with Jason, I've included several links in the episode description. All right, well, really the way I like to start everything out is if you could just introduce yourself to us, tell us, who you are and where you're at, and a little, background of, your mortgage experience and kind of everything around that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. Yeah. So, I've been doing this for like 20-ish years, early 2000s. And like anybody, I just started off doing the job. I was a mortgage broker, but I actually worked for one of the banks and as a bank rep out in the mortgage field. And then moved to being an independent broker, and then realized I didn't love being available Friday nights and Saturdays. So I started, you build team, like you get first assistant. I probably had my first, like 8 first assistants, like you learn how to work with other people. But that evolved. And before you know it, you've got a small team and you're building systems and things for them. And so we just kept, one step at a time, just kept evolving things. So today we have what I would say is a fairly large national brokerage, a group called Tango. And we have about 70 other brokerages plugged into our, call it infrastructure, whatever, payroll, compliance, back office services, lender access, marketing services, all that kind of stuff. Everything that you need to do. It's like a brokerage in a box kind of thing. And so that's allowed us to get to where we are today. And it's been a fun ride. Lots of ups and downs along the way. And hopefully we're at the beginning of an up.
Right. Yeah,
last couple of years have been a bit, every market's got its moments, but the last couple of years haven't been as strong. And so we're hopeful that we're ready to make a turn on that. And it should be a good 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. And, tell me about, over the course of your career, it seems like, marketing has been a really kind of driving force and, a passion for yours. How did that start and how did you implement that early on in your career?
Yeah, it started by me needing to feed my own team back in the day. So before we became kind of a support platform for other brokerages, we were just doing it for ourselves. And so I did a lot of online lead gen. Like this is going back. So we went to paperless in 2012 in our business. We went online, and that's at the same time. And so we were probably in our world up here, we were probably one of the earlier adopters of sort of online, and we did all we stopped meeting clients in person and all that kind of stuff. So in order to do that, 2012 through 2015, we had to really focus on systems because it was newer. And so we just built some domain expertise in lead generation and sales processes and supporting team. By 2016, like at that time, we realized we were like, oh, wow, if we're doing this for ourselves and the world really is changing and my passions evolved. And so I just started coaching other people on it. And mostly because I just had friends that were like, what are you doing? And so I just, I've always sort of had the philosophy that you share and you give, and sometimes that comes back, sometimes it doesn't. But I think I think in the long run, it pays off more than it costs. And so that allowed us to all this before you know it, you're sharing ideas with people and they're like, you know what? I love this, but I don't want to do it for myself. Can I just plug in? And that really is what generally happens when you share a lot of stuff. And so that it was around that time, 2015, 2016, and there were a lot of changes in the mortgage world that it just felt right. And so we moved from doing it for ourselves to doing it for others. And it was like a very natural transition.
Yeah, absolutely. So, making such a big transition, especially, when people hear about, shifting like fully virtual and no longer doing things in person, that a lot of companies that started, post COVID because it became more, acceptable and just the way the world worked. But doing that prior to, how was that all evolving and working with your clients and, going from maybe that word of mouth type marketing?
It was interesting. It was a big commitment, like, because again, it was 2012, 2013 when it took a year to finally transition. Like I was still, just because I had decided to do it, I was still running around town doing meetings through that period. But yeah, I had built my business like anybody else, get in the car, drive across town, have a coffee meeting here, drive across town to meet someone for lunch and go and take a mortgage application in the evening at someone's kitchen. That was like 2003 to 2010, 11. And so making the transition was tough. And so anybody who did it, it doesn't matter when you did do it, like 2012, 2020, it's tough. And, but I think that people actually prefer it. And I realized a long time ago that like, it was just way more efficient, like the 45 minutes that you spend in the car. So I'm not surprised that when the world flipped a switch and said, hey, this is what we have to do, that people moved towards it right away. What was different though, is I had to up my game because I could no longer really teach people, like, post 2020, like, showing people how to move their business online or go to telephone meetings or stop meeting people in person. That was no longer a thing. And so, everybody evolved, the industry evolved, and we had to evolve with it. And so we just started focusing on other things and other areas to support people. Which has really been great. The last 4 or 5 years there's been a lot of momentum for everybody around us, and that's been wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we really kind of dive into some of the different, like the marketing techniques that you teach and you really are passionate about, tell me about the company, that the systems and everything that you help put these systems into place with.
Yeah. So the brokerage is one thing. And that's, there's a lot of just operational stuff, payroll, compliance, nothing super exciting, but things that you absolutely need that have been wonderful for us to build our business there. And where I really get my kicks though is in the marketing. So it's funny. I started off, obviously you have to have a strong marketing sense to build the kind of team that I did. And then I moved heavily into operational stuff to build Tango, payroll compliance systems. And then once that was all done, I poked my head back up above water, and I was kind of like, I've reinvigorated my passion for marketing. So the last 4 or 5 years, my focus has been almost exclusively on marketing and how to help move the needle and how to help people connect with more clients, have better relationships with their referral partners, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So we have a coaching platform, marketing coaching platform that we share with the whole industry. It's called Strategy Hub. And we teach in there. And it's sort of weekly coaching calls. And that's really great. But where the rubber hits the road is always in execution. So we have, like any other kind of business mix, if we have 500 people in the coaching group, which we do, we have about 600 or 700 people now, I think. But, 20% of them will never do anything. 20% of them are going to take those ideas and run with them like crazy. But then there's this middle 50, 60% of people that are like, I like it, but I don't have the time. I don't have the bandwidth. I'm really not passionate about doing that stuff, but I want it done for me. And so the coaching of people, it allowed us to see those opportunities. And then we now have a couple of SaaS, like software, but we're really marketing SaaS businesses built around the coaching. So the people that come through that platform are like, I love it. I want this as part of my business. Can you just do it for me? And so that's the evolution of that. So that's where I spend a lot of my time, is in the marketing tools and marketing support for people.
What I think is so cool, whether it's, mortgage or real estate agent, so much of the marketing and that, it's about growing your sphere and growing your contact list. And, so tell me about some of the things that, you're teaching either the people that, work for you under your brokerage or, these coaching clients, what are some of the best ways to start adding people to that list?
So yeah, so what we teach people a bunch of different things. Depends on what you're interested in. So, but where I'm spending a lot of my time and energy right now is in helping people grow their email list. Like the one thing that you have, I think it's pretty obvious by now. Like we don't have control over, quote unquote, the algorithm. They're going to make changes, and every time there's big changes, the thing that we thought was like awesome and would feed us forever changes. The beast changes, and we're seeing that right now with social and AI and search. Like it's all going to change, and it's morphing pretty fast. And so all of these things that are out there that allowed us to to build audience, very important. We should be doing them, and we coach people on how to do them. But what I think is even more important than that is once you have someone's attention, is figuring out how to move them into an environment that you can then nurture that relationship. And sometimes that means pushing them into a group, like a Facebook group or whatever, that you control and that you can kind of have more of a relationship with that person. But the easiest thing, and the thing that seems to be the most consistent, is just putting people into an email list and then nurturing that list. And so most of the businesses that we have or the services that we have are all around nurturing that list. And then we've got a bunch of stuff that we could talk. That's really where I've got a ton of features, and we leverage those lists to develop better partnerships with referral partners, all that kind of stuff. But that's really where the focus is, because that's the thing that you can control, that you can own. And so it really is a relationship with your list that matters most. And you should still do all those other things to feed and build that list. But that's where we spend most of our time, is helping people like nurture it and engage it and find conversions in that list.
Yeah. And what are some of the mistakes that you see, when people do start adding to their email list that maybe, burn it out quickly or, just.
Yeah. Well, the best email marketers in the world aren't afraid to hit their list every single day. Morning Brew and all these, there's a bunch of like daily newsletters, and we all love getting them. And the reason we love getting them is not because they're coming every day. That's not the thing. The reason we love getting them is because the content, like the value's there. And so what I see, entrepreneurs, like it doesn't matter. We support mortgage brokers, realtors. We have some financial planners, accountants in our sphere. Like we're expanding out beyond our immediate audience. But everybody has the same block, which is I don't want to burn out my list. I don't want to damage my relationship with my list. And so they're afraid to nurture the list. Really, it's like, and everybody's got different opinions. Should I email them once a month? Should I email them once a week? And so we are of the opinion that you should, because the best email marketers in the world hit their list every day. The difference isn't the frequency, it's the quality of it's like, are you adding value? And so we're really focused on that. And value isn't like the latest rate update or the latest, like, central bank change. That stuff is table stakes. Yeah, you got to be telling people about these things because that's your job. Or if you're in real estate, you got to tell people like that the market moved up 2 points or, sales are down. Fine. But nobody's opening your newsletter for that. So what we focus on is like, how do we move the needles? What are the current pain points? And it doesn't matter what part of the planet you're on right now. Those pain points are, rising costs, tightening cash flow, making difficult choices in life, like, choosing to not do the things over here because you have to, put the resources over there. So families are really feeling the pinch. And so we focus on what are the solutions that'll help alleviate cash flow, help them maintain their lifestyle, still feel like they're building wealth, still feel like they're moving ahead financially, all those things. And so we're really focused on financial strategies, real estate investment strategies, things like that move the needle. And man, I tell you, our open rates for our clients, like we send 500,000 emails a month right now for our customers. And our open rates are 50, 60%, and which is okay. You can get that if you have a good relationship with your list. But the engagement rates, the response and the clicks and the things that we do to like actually get them to engage, those engagement rates for our customers are like 15 to 25%. Wow. And I don't, like, you're in the marketing world, right. Like the average click-through rate on a newsletter is like 1 to 3%.
Right.
And so if you are adding the right value and you're actually helping people, then they will look forward to opening your newsletter. And so then once you've nailed that, then you can increase the frequency, and you don't get the unsubscribes. In fact, you get shares and forwards and growth. And so it really is about value, and value is going to be different for every industry, but that's what we teach people. That's what we're trying to focus on.
Before we dive into our next topic, I have a question. Agents, are you ready to build instant trust with the sellers and buyers you meet? Well, with today's sponsor, Authorify, you can become a published author and gain instant credibility with potential clients. You'll easily win listings, and buyers will want you to represent them as their agent. Imagine handing somebody your book instead of a business card and watching them realize that you're the real deal and want to list with you. Even better, you can try this out for free because Authorify is giving you a free sample book so you can see exactly how it works. Simply go to authorify.com/sample to claim your free sample book now. I think a lot of times when I know even people that we work with, trying to get them to engage with their audience on a regular basis and, that frequently, with the idea of, providing value and that you're not trying to sell something all the time, they can get really overwhelmed. Well, how do I come up with the content? And what you guys are doing, you're creating some of those, those materials that they can customize and use. How are those newsletters being built out?
Yeah. So the hardest part is, it's great that someone may be listening to this right now and go, yes, value. I love it, but I'm busy and I don't have time. I'm not going to write a newsletter, and that's fine. And we see that a lot, and that's okay. So what we do is we built a platform. It's called Breaking Bank, and it's essentially like it's a finance blog. It's published. It's online, and if you sent someone if there was an article on the Globe and Mail or something like that, you would be like, hey, that's an interesting article, and you would send your traffic there. Well, when you do that, whether you're a realtor, financial planner, mortgage broker, it doesn't matter. When you do that, you're kind of putting your clients in harm's way because you're sharing an article. It's an interesting piece of content, but the Globe, they're selling ad space to your competitors, more or less, right? So they know that someone's looking at a real estate article. Guess what? They're putting real estate ads in the banners, right? So what we do is we said, well, what if you could what if there was a platform that was creating great content that was actually helping people that you would feel proud to share, that when you sent them to the platform, instead of seeing banner ads for your competitors, you were the banner ad. The platform rebrands itself to you. And so that's what we built. So we publish weekly articles that move the needle, that are helpful for people. And then all of our partners have their own basically custom link that they can push people there towards. And the site recognizes that, and all the banner ads and all the marketing around the content is to you. And so it's a really cool way. And then for some people, we just give them their sharing links and they want to share it however they want. And other people say, hey, can you just like send this content out to our database for us on a weekly basis? And we do that. And it's all fully branded. What's really cool though, is we've started teaching people. So that works really well. Yeah. And it gets really good engagement, and it sort of keeps the visitor or the audience in your ecosystem and not someone else's. But because that's going so well for us, one of our growth strategies, we looked at it. We were like, man, we want to find more professionals. We want to find more accountants, more financial planners. We want to find more realtors. We want to find more people to use this platform. And so what we did is we created a partner level. So we basically give the sharing profiles away. And then the way we make money is by helping you grow your network, because we say, look, if you want to become a partner on this, we give you the licensing right in your area to give the sharing profile to your referral partners and help them use it in your business. And so that has been working phenomenally well. And then we do things like allowing our partners to invite guest authors. So when you have someone in your world that you're like, hey, I really want to connect with that referral, that financial planner, that realtor or whatever, then you reach out and you say, hey, we see what you're talking about over there in your world. how would you like to be featured as a guest author? And so all these ways of engaging become real and possible. And so those are the things that we're doing. And it's very powerful. And it's working really, really well because, well, look, hey, I'm here. I'm on your podcast. You invited me to speak, and thank you. And I said yes, because why wouldn't I say yes?
Right.
It's a win-win for us. And it's the same thing that we're teaching our partners how to do.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm a big proponent of, that, especially in the real estate space, in the mortgage space, the referral partnerships. I mean, that's really like, if you can create a ecosystem with good, like-minded professionals in your area, that's the way to, pass business back and forth between each other.
100%, man. We started this conversation. I told you I was big into online lead gen and stuff like that. I've come full circle on it. Like, I'm like, yeah, partnership. So, it's funny. You have different moments in your career, but right now I'm big on that. And I think it's because, as markets tighten, there's less market share out there right now. We see financial institutions being very aggressive. We see, on the mortgage side, we see realtors struggling to find the same level of traffic that they used to. The paying for ads isn't the return on investment there isn't quite what it used to be. So, but the thing that is like you get the best conversion, the best close rates, and the best return on investment is always in the partnerships. And that doesn't go away. And in a world where like there's a lot of noise out there, I actually think people are moving more towards who do you know, who do you trust, more than ever. And that's real right now. So anything you can do to develop better partnerships and better relationships with your partners, I think is key right now for any kind of like commissioned entrepreneur.
Yeah. And I love the idea of, being able to guest author or, to share your expertise on somebody else's, platform, because that whole idea, another thing that we really teach and we really harp on is really kind of for real estate agents is becoming that digital mayor of your community.
Yeah.
Cool. And, so if it was, I've talked to some really great agents out there over the years that they'll do like they have their own podcast or their own, Instagram live shows or whatever it is. And they have their lender come on, once a week and they touch on a certain topic. And, that both are able to share that content and it's providing value to both audiences.
Yeah. It's very powerful stuff. And, I like the concept of a digital mayor in your community. It's good. Yeah.
But, as you are working with, these clients and, these people, getting their lists open, what are some of the kind of like aha moments that they're seeing? Like, oh man, this is great. This is really the direction that I want to go. And how have you seen that evolve over the years you've been doing this?
So yeah, it's different for different people. The guest authorship thing is something new that we're doing like in the last sort of 6 months with our partners. I find it's so disarming. It's like you said, like being that digital mayor, being the person who is hosting and inviting. And then it really is about the partner and it's less about you, and it's a win-win. I mean, even for myself, I'm seeing that like that. It's an aha moment for me. I know I'm like coaching on this stuff, but like in the last sort of year, as we've built these features out for people, and I'm seeing people use them and the results that they're getting from that. For me, I'm having an aha moment. I'm like, man, I wish I had landed on this a long time ago. But we're here now, and I'm grateful to be able to support people with it. The kind of results that we're seeing, like just yesterday, I ended up on a phone call. So one of my direct customers was a mortgage broker who's using the platform and using it to reach out to partners and invite partners to be guest authors. And we're supporting. We're doing all the writing and quarterbacking. Like they just have to manage the relationship. But they reached out to someone in their community, and it was someone that they had a loose connection with. Maybe haven't done a ton of business, but like they were leveraging this opportunity to build a better relationship with them. And they weren't exactly sure where to go with it because this was a potential referral partner, but also a team lead. So this is a mortgage broker reaching out to a realtor, and the realtor has a team lead, and they have a team of a fairly substantial team.
Right.
And so I supported that. We got on a phone call together with the team lead, and we talked about the guest authorship thing. And they were like, "Yeah, great, sign me up. I love it. I'll write some content." So that was easy. But then the team lead was like, "Can we do this for my whole team?" And so it's like, it's so powerful. We were like, "Well, tell us yeah, sure. What do you want to do?" And so he was like, "Well, I want to get sharing profiles for the whole team. And then I've got a few people that I think could be potentially good guest authors." So that's great. So that's just more reason for everybody to interact. But then also they do a lot of online lead gen. So they were like, "Look, we got 120,000 homeowners in the area that are on our list, and they're not afraid to communicate with that list. They do a lot of stuff." And they were like, "We just want to add, we want to add this whole system. We want to start hitting them in addition to what we're doing. We want to start giving them a weekly drip." And so we're building, and there's a bunch of people that make up that list, but we're building sharing profiles for each person. We're going to be nurturing that list for them. But the really cool feature that we have is when traffic comes to the site, it's not just reinforcing the partner's brand. It's the person who's kind of bringing, so we got the real estate team at the top, and we get the mortgage broker that is providing the platform on the side banner. And so that mortgage broker is riding shotgun on all that advertising and all that traffic. And so it's just such a win-win. The relationship is key, but now you're really working together. And so there's if you've got the bandwidth for it, if you've got the headspace, taking this kind of an approach is really resonating right now for people. And it's great to be able to talk about it because it's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, these things are, they're happening now, and these kind of trends are happening. What are some of the other trends that you're seeing, or, maybe kind of future trends that you kind of see starting to emerge that you think that both, in the mortgage and in the real estate, they can tap into in their marketing?
Yeah, I'm not an expert in this stuff by any means, but I follow a lot of experts. Mm-hmm. And so I think one of the things that's really changing right now is search. And I think that it's important to keep an eye on that. If you're reliant on Google search or reviews, like people finding you because you have a lot of reviews and those sorts of things, or if you're publishing content because if you have an SEO based strategy, I think really, really important is to just sort of poke your head up and do some research on the evolution of search, because that's changing. Yeah. And rather than having the way the world works today, or the way the world worked 24 months ago, was you do a search and then, Google gives you a bunch of responses and websites, and then you got to go and click through and you find the answers. And that's how people get traffic. The way the world is already moving today is now you ask a question and the system goes out and it finds the answers and it synthesizes the best response, and it doesn't actually put you on a website. It just tells you the answer. Yeah. And I saw something just yesterday, actually. Neil Patel, if you guys, you probably know who Neil is. Yeah. So if anybody's listening, Neil Patel is an SEO. He's a marketing expert. He's probably one of the world's foremost SEO guys. And he's pretty cool and he's pretty laid back. He's a pretty down to earth guy too. He's fun to listen to. But he was showing a bunch of stats on search, and it's Google search is only 18% of searches now. Yeah. As of 2025.
Yeah, I think I actually watched that same video.
It just came out this week. Right?
Yeah, not too long ago.
And it's Google, and then there's Bing, and there's other search platforms. But even for myself, I do a lot of searching now just in ChatGPT, because I'm I just want to know the answer. I don't want to have to then search and then think, did I find the right website to get the answer? So it's early, but I think if you can get your head around the changes there, I think there's some real opportunities. I don't exactly know what those opportunities are, but what I am pretty confident about is that the way search works today will not be the same. And so if you're reliant on search, You definitely need to learn about it. I don't exactly know what to do about it though. And I think that's where everybody is on the planet right now.
Right. Well, I mean, even I was Googling something this morning and you get that, at the top bar, it's like kind of the synopsis, like the AI synopsis of the answer. And within each of the bullet points, there's a backlink to wherever it pulled it. And it's almost like if you're the person that's answering the question and really providing that value, that's how you kind of show up in those.
How you show up. Yeah. It is currently surfacing. You're right. Like, it's like, hey, here's the answer. And here's some sites where we got that from. I just don't know how long before they're like, they just bury that. Here's the sites. Like, once we get comfortable being like, yeah, I trust the answer. Do we really care where the information came from? And I think that that's what's going to go away.
Yeah.
But I don't think ads go away. I think ads probably become more important. They still have to monetize it. And so, we'll see what they do with it, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is why, one of the most important things you can do today, the one thing that you can control is if you can leverage all these platforms, whether it's social or search or ads or a combination of them all, to build your list. The one thing that I don't think is going away is email and the ability to reach someone directly. And so probably if you're going to be in business for the next 15 years, the most important thing you can do is leverage all these platforms to grow your list. And then you need to be insanely focused on nurturing that list and improving the frequency of how often you nurture that list with high quality content, because that is the thing that you own and control.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, providing that, that valuable content that people are going to engage with, because I know even for us, we have seen, the filtering of the different platforms, like if people don't engage with you, it's a pretty short window. Like they do start to suppress. So you got to make sure that your content is engaging.
You do. And you don't necessarily get pushed in front of your own, like just having a bunch of followers anymore doesn't like, so my son's big into some online stuff and he's got about 300,000 followers and he moves those into a community group where he then does some coaching stuff. But he's pretty big on he looks at his stats a lot because that's his business. And he knows that like if he gets, 250,000 views on a post or something like that, and that like 70-80% of it isn't even from the people who follow him. And so the fact that someone follows you doesn't necessarily mean that they're getting your content. The thing that gets you the views is the fact that people are engaging with your content. So you have to constantly, like, it's really, really stressful because you have to constantly be understanding the evolution of the algorithm and what the systems want. And that's honestly, like, if you're a financial professional, you're focused on providing like financial advice to your clients. If you're a realtor, you're focused on the real estate market. If you're a mortgage broker, you're focused on the mortgage market and how to get deals approved. You don't have time to go be an algorithm expert. And so those things are important, but they feel very risky because they're constantly evolving. And just having an audience, that is not enough, because your views can be taken away from you if you're not adapting your content to what the platforms want. Again, you gotta have things in your elements in your business that you can reasonably control and expect results from.
Well, for anybody that's listening to this, where can they, kind of find out more about, what you're doing and kind of start implementing some of these things within their businesses? Yeah,
I mean, my handle is just at Jason Henneberry, Henneberry. I'm sure it's a long last name, but it is what it is. So I'm sure there's a link somewhere that we can put that in. And just shoot me a DM. I'm pretty approachable and I'm happy to chat about anything.
Awesome. Well, I really do appreciate you talking with us today. And I think it is really cool how, marketing and just the way different business professionals can connect, around providing value to their customers. I really do see that as something that has been taking off and only going, further and further as things move along.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Michael. I appreciate you having me on the show.
I really want to thank Jason for joining us today and think that it's so true that it's vitally important to grow your email list and nurture those contacts as social media platforms continue to evolve. Remember, if you're interested in learning more or connecting with Jason, I've included several links in the episode description. So once again, if you think you or someone else on your team has an incredible story or real estate tips to share with our community, send us a message to feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.